Greetings to all of you. I want to talk about the upcoming new moon on February 27th, which comes at the end of this month as we're moving into March, the time of the eclipses. We will have a total lunar eclipse at the time of the full moon on March 14th, and then a partial solar eclipse on March 29th. And remember that March is not only a powerful month because we're moving into this eclipse season, but remember that from that Yuga cycle perspective, we are coming to the end of the Kali Yuga at the end of March, which is a threshold then into an accelerated time of moving into higher consciousness if we choose that. Remember that these energies of the precessional cycle and the Yuga cycle, the energies of these lunar cycles of the stars and planets, are guiding us in our journey of evolution on the planet. But we co-create with those energies by the choices that we make. And I think it's significant that as we're experiencing this new moon on February 27th, it will include a stellium in the sign of Pisces. And I'll show you the chart in a minute. But the energy of Pisces is very strong at the time of this new moon and also the full moon on March 14th. As we're experiencing this energy of Pisces, again, as we're moving to the end of the Kali Yuga, the end of our time of ignorance, of disconnection from source, of forgetting the deeper meaning of who we are as humans on this planet. We are actually spiritual beings having a human experience. We are a part of infinity. And I think this energy of Pisces is guiding us back into the remembrance of that. Pisces is that mutable water sign that guides us to connect to that mystical aspect of ourselves, to remember that we are spiritual beings, to come back into that remembrance of oneness with all that is, and to find that way in which we then can be channels of and emanate the love and compassion of the cosmos, to be empathic with each other, to honor our intuition, to honor our deep connection with spirit, and how that can guide us through this accelerated time of change and transformation on the planet. I think it's significant that we're experiencing this energy of Pisces at this critical threshold point because it's guiding us to remember, to reclaim, to reintegrate the core meaning of the age of Pisces that we're coming to the end of as we move out of this time of the Kali Yuga, as we move into the age of Aquarius. Sadly, as I've talked about in earlier videos, because we got caught in the paradigms of the age of Aries and the shadow aspects of Aries, that energy of separation, of power over, of disconnection from source and from each other, it carried over into the age of Pisces, and I believe it blocked us from really integrating the meaning of that age. Remember, the beginning of the age of Pisces was shaped by the teachings of Buddha, the teachings of Christ, who were spiritual guides trying to help us reclaim that mystical aspect of ourselves, trying to help us remember that we are spiritual beings having this earthly experience, trying to help us come back into compassion, into our sense of interconnectedness with all that is. Remember that one of the core teachings of Buddha was cultivate the good, purify your heart. A core teaching of Christ and of Christ consciousness is remember that the kingdom of the divine is within you. You are sacred. Everything around you is sacred. Remember and come back into connection with Source, with cosmic consciousness. So we are being guided to, in this new moon, reclaim those lessons from the age of Pisces. And I think a core aspect of Pisces and reclaiming that mystical, spiritual part of ourselves is to come back into the awareness of the meaning of awe and wonder, of remembering the limitations of our minds and of our reason, and coming back into respect for the mysteries of the cosmos. Let me read you a few quotes. One from a Jewish mystic and scholar, Abraham Joshua Heschel, and another from an Islamic mystic, Rumi. This one's from Abraham Joshua Heschel about awe. And let me read you his quote. Awe is more than an emotion. It is a way of understanding, insight into a meaning greater than ourselves. The beginning of awe is wonder, and the beginning of wisdom is awe. Awe is an intuition for the dignity of all things, a realization that things not only are what they are, but also stand, however remotely, for something supreme. Awe is a sense of transcendence, for the reference everywhere to the mystery beyond all things. It enables us to perceive in the world intimations of the divine, to sense in small things the beginning of infinite significance, to sense the ultimate in the common and the simple, to feel in the rush of the passing the stillness of the eternal. What we cannot comprehend by analysis, we become aware of in awe. And if we forfeit the sense of awe and let our conceit diminish our ability to revere, the world becomes a marketplace. Powerful words that I think show how, because we didn't really integrate that deeper mystical understanding of the age of Pisces and allow it to shape our consciousness as humanity, we got increasingly caught in the sub-age of Pisces, which is the energy of Virgo, ruled by Mercury. We got caught in the 18th century in that experience of the age of enlightenment, which became an idealization of reason, of our intellect, of our longing to analyze and comprehend all of the life around us. But in that process, we were separating ourselves from it, dissecting and objectifying what is around us, and idealizing scientific materialism and our minds over that mystical and intuitive sense of awe and wonder, and that sense of reverence for the sacred, for the mystery that is beyond our comprehension. And let me read you a quote from Rumi, an Islamic mystic. Observe the wonders as they occur around you. Don't claim them. feel the artistry moving through you, and be silent. Rumi. These two mystics really are speaking to that deeper meaning of Pisces, and how, as we reclaim that sense of wonder and awe and reverence, we come into a sense of humility. We dissolve that identification with our ego. We remember who we truly are, spiritual beings having this human experience, each of us a unique fractal of cosmic consciousness. As we can reclaim that wisdom and purify our hearts, we can come back into deep connection with the sacredness in all that is, and our remembrance that we are part of the oneness. We are a part, a reflection of cosmic consciousness. As we can reconnect with that wisdom, that sense of honoring the mystery, of knowing that we are a part of the oneness of all that is, a fractal expression of cosmic consciousness, then we can heal and move away from the ways in which we long for control by our minds. We long for certainty and idealize our capacity to analyze and control what's around us. We no longer claim ownership of the life around us, but live in right relationship and in that sense of the wonder of all that is. Let's look now at the chart and what it has to teach us about the energies of this time and how we can work them in the most conscious way possible. As you can see from this chart, the sun and moon at the time of this new moon will be at 9 degrees of Pisces, part of this stellium in Pisces, including the asteroid Ceres, Saturn, Mercury, the North Node, and Neptune. Neptune continues to be conjunct to the North Node in Pisces and will continue to be conjunct the North Node in Pisces until it moves into Aries on March 30th. It's significant that the lunar nodes are squaring the galactic center and will continue to be squaring the galactic center as we move into the time of the full moon on March 14th. And Varda, which I spoke about in my last video, continues to be conjunct the galactic center, both at the time of this new moon and at the time of the full moon. Varda will be at 29 degrees of Sagittarius in alignment with our galactic center. So the energy of the galactic center is powerfully active at the time of this new moon and full moon. And I just put out recently a video about our galactic center and how it's guiding us in understanding the meaning of unity consciousness. And I think it's also significant that the Webb telescope has just determined that we are seeing flares of light coming from that accretion disk around our galactic center. The galactic center is channeling these energies to us to guide us into higher consciousness, to be supporting us in dissolving these blocks and illusions we've been caught in, to open us up again to that mystical spiritual understanding of who we are and to guide us into higher consciousness. Remember that if we do not work the energy of Pisces at a level of consciousness, then we can get caught in the shadow aspects of Pisces, which are getting caught in illusion, delusion, addiction. We get pulled out of that deep understanding of our spiritual nature and get caught in our ego and our illusions, which is part of what we're seeing playing out on the planet in a very powerful way in this time. But the deeper meaning of this energy in Pisces is calling us back into connection with Source, guiding us to dissolve our ego and identification with our minds, to come back into that spiritual awareness and that mystical aspect of ourselves, the way in which we can be guided by messages from the cosmos and by our intuition. And this is really underscored by Pluto's conjunction now at the time of this new moon, and it will be within a 5-degree orb of Pallas Athene until March 15th, through the time of the full moon, empowering our capacity, Pallas Athene, to be in tune with our intuition, with that creative intelligence. It's also significant that Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is part of this stellium in Pisces and is in Pisces conjunct the North Node, guiding us to open to our intuition, to those right brain ways of knowing, to our capacity to experience the wisdom of the cosmos coming to us in that more mystical way. Remember that as we're moving into the fifth dimension, as we're being called to move into higher consciousness, it is about remembering the capacity of our consciousness, which is so far superior to the ability of our analytical minds. As we remember the capacity of our consciousness, we have that ability to tune in to the wisdom of the cosmos, to download it, to open to the guidance that's there for us beyond our human comprehension. It's significant also that this new moon is squaring Jupiter. Again, Jupiter reflects right brain ways of knowing and is guiding us to have faith in this shift, this transition that we're in. I think it's also significant that this new moon is a part of a grand trine in water with Mars in Cancer and Vesta in Scorpio. What does this mean? I think it's significant that Vesta is that asteroid that is about honoring the sacred fires within us and our home hearth fires. But being in Scorpio, I think it is about honoring that deep part within us that remembers the fire of our connection with Source, with the divine fire within us that can guide us through this time of transition and transformation and help us be committed to our soul's purpose and path and that connection with the source of all that is. And in trine with Mars to support us in acting from compassion, Mars in Cancer. And again, to be in alignment with that remembrance that we are all interconnected and a part of the oneness of all that is. As we're in this final month of the Kali Yuga, we are seeing on the planet the extremes of that out of balanced Aries energy of power over, of disconnection, of competition, of identification with ego, of seeing everything as an object to be controlled, exploited, or destroyed. And this energy in Pisces is saying, release that, dissolve that. Let go of that sense of separation. Let go of that out of balanced Aries energy. Come back into alignment with cosmic consciousness and that awareness within you that you are a soul self having this human experience. As we look now at some of the other Kuiper Belt objects and other planetary bodies that are significant at the time of this new moon, we see that this new moon is also trining Haumea, guiding us to regenerate, to transform our sense of self. Remember, Haumea is the shapeshifter, and she's also guiding us in her square with Pluto and Pallas Athene to remember how we are in this profound time of transformation, and we can be with the earth in her own experience of transformation and ascension, to be shape-shifting and regenerating with her. Remember, Haumea is that creation deity from the ancient Hawaiian culture. This new moon is also sextiling that combination of Pholus, Quawar, and Ixion in Capricorn. I see this as guiding us to heal Pholus, to come back into balance, Quawar, to release Ixion, that identification with ego and sense of separation and longing for control, for conquest, for power over. I think it's significant that the Sabian symbol for 9 degrees of Pisces is an aviator flying through ground obscuring clouds. The meaning of this, from Dane Rudger's work, is about developing the mastery, the skills to transcend our natural limitations, to operate from that spiritual perspective, and to stand strong in our values, in our principles, in how we are living out being in right relationship with all that is, honoring that sacredness within us and in all of life. It's about coming back to that sense of awe and wonder and reverence, and remembering that we humans are a part of this oneness with all that is. It's also significant that the sun and new moon are conjunct Nisus. Remember, this is the healing centaur that Melanie Reinhardt describes as being about the buck stops here. It is time for us to take responsibility for the choices that we've made as humanity, for the ancestral trauma from the ways in which we have lived in an out of balance way on the planet. To remember, as Elizabeth Satortis would say, that we are not meant to live out of survival of the fittest and see ourselves as at the pinnacle of all that is. We are meant to remember that we are interdependent and interconnected with all of the life around us, and to grow into that maturity, that humility, that honoring of the sacredness of all of life. This new moon is such an important time to meditate, to reflect, to remember who you truly are, to come back into deep connection with your heart, with your soul self, with that remembrance of the sacredness within us and our connection with the sacredness of all that is, to come back into the remembrance of the mystery of the cosmos, to come back into that experience of reverence and awe and wonder. And let's look now at where this new moon is in the sky. You can see here that those planets that in the tropical zodiac are part of that stellium in Pisces are now actually in the sky at the time of the new moon, spread out between the constellation of Pisces and Aquarius in that part of the sky known as the waters. Again, this is a very watery new moon, guiding us into altered states of consciousness, guiding us into being in meditation, guiding us into dissolving what we need to release, to open to higher consciousness. And I think it's significant that Neptune conjunct Mercury, conjunct the North Node, are here in the stars of Pisces, as is Saturn. And the new moon and sun are in the stars of Aquarius and are in that part of the constellation of the water bearer where the waters of the urn are flowing from the sky to the earth. Again, it's such a reminder of the meaning of the waters of Aquarius coming to us, bringing us the wisdom of the cosmos, guiding us to remember who we truly are. As Veda Austin has so brilliantly shown us through her research, water is liquid light. Water is consciousness. Water holds the memories of the cosmos, the memories of the earth. Water is guiding us to remember who we truly are. I think it's also significant that Mars, which is in that trine with the new moon, is here in the middle of the stars of Gemini, between the stars of Castor and Pollux, who hold that energy of mortality, immortality, light and dark. Mars is guiding us back into right relationship with who we are, with how we hold that awareness of our mortality and our immortality, how we hold that awareness of the light and dark within us, but come into balance, into wholeness. And it's very significant that Jupiter, here in the stars of Taurus, is conjunct Aldebaran, the royal star of the East that is about living with moral integrity, standing firmly in your values, in your principles, in spiritual truth and integrity and authenticity. And part of the meaning of Aldebaran, from the perspective of Bernadette Brady, who's done such deep research on the meaning of the stars, is that if we compromise our moral integrity, it will lead to loss and crisis, possibly involving fire. That's interesting to think about, because as we're coming to the end of this Kali Yuga, as we're moving out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, this is that marker in the precessional cycle, that ending of one precessional cycle, beginning of a new one, that is a karmic choice point. And the last crisis 12,000 years ago, at the midpoint in the precessional cycle, when we stayed caught in disconnection from source and got out of balance as humanity, we experienced a crisis, a cataclysm, a great flood involving water. All the ancient prophecies talk about the crisis at this time would be a crisis of fire. And here we have the fire of the galactic center flaring and flashing at us. We're in the time of the solar maximum, with solar flares coming to the earth. I believe these fires are guiding us to be in our transformational and transmutational process. But again, it's a karmic choice point. And if we stay out of balance, if we stay out of alignment with moral integrity, if we stay on a path of power over and destruction and ego and desire to exploit, destroy the earth, to conquer others and compete with others for our own egoic ends, as we're seeing around the globe, the violence, the war, the exploitation, the competition, the power over, the illusions and delusions, then we risk facing that cataclysm by fire. But I truly believe those of us on a path of consciousness will be on this path of ascension into the fifth dimension, into a new earth. But we each have the responsibility to choose the path we will follow. And whether it is a path of clinging to the paradigms of the past, the power over paradigms, the paradigms of separation and disconnection and destruction, or whether we choose to come back to our hearts, come back to that remembrance of who we truly are, spiritual beings having this human experience, come back into that remembrance that we are a part of the sacredness of all that is, and that we can live from that sense of mystery and love and wonder and awe. Then we open to joy. We open to the ways in which we can feel we're being carried by the currents of the cosmos into these new ways of being. Then we can have trust and faith, Jupiter, to know that we are held and guided by the mystery of the cosmos, by these energies so far beyond our comprehension. We need to let go of being small. We need to let go of trying to grasp for that control of our minds and that sense of certainty and that sense of security in the known, to respect the unknown and the wonder and mystery of the cosmos and of cosmic consciousness that is the love and wisdom flowing to us from the waters of the water bearer to guide us into these new ways of being, to guide us into the new earth, to guide us to clear away these out of balance patterns from the past, to remember who we truly are, to come back in to reverence and that sense of wonder and awe, and come back into that awareness that we are a part of the oneness of all that is. May we allow these energies of Pisces to guide us in healing and dissolving what we need to release from the past, to open to this guidance and wisdom and the compassion of the cosmos coming to us that can then emanate through us to support each other in this time of transformation. I truly believe as we move into March, things will continue to accelerate and we'll continue to feel the intensity of this karmic choice point. And we each can take responsibility for the path that we choose. And whether we live from that place of integrity and alignment with our hearts and our soul selves, or whether we get caught in fear or caught in submission to the power over dynamics that are at play on the planet in this last gasp of the Kali Yuga, we have no security in those external political and social forces on the planet. Our security is in aligning with these energies of the cosmic consciousness that are beyond our comprehension, but that are guiding us and supporting us into these new ways of being and back in to unity consciousness. Again, I am so grateful for this community, for the ways in which we are supporting each other to move into higher consciousness. We are supporting each other and holding that energy of love and wisdom to move into these new ways of being. This is an accelerated time of change, and may we feel the wonder and awe and joy of what we're moving into, and to hold firm to that, hold steady in that, in the midst of the storminess of these times, in the midst of the shadow aspects of the age of Pisces, illusion, delusion, idealization of our analytical minds, of our egos, of our longing for certainty and control. May we hold that alignment with our soul selves to see that, but not get pulled into that, to stay in connection with our hearts and in that knowing that we are held in the love and wisdom of the cosmos, guiding us into healing and transformation into this new world and new earth together. Blessed be.